born with a purpose.
Hi, I'm Larry London, and this is Border Crossings. Today, we are joined by a rapper from Houston, Texas, known as SaulPaul. One of his special talents is his freestyle ability to come up with lyrics on the spot, and we will put him to the test on today's show. SaulPaul has been featured on ESPN and is recognized for his recap raps, which he will explain this hour. Raised by his grandmother, SaulPaul has an inspiring and interesting story to tell. He grew up in a ghetto and ended up in prison, yet he's managed to turn his life completely around and become a filmmaker and motivational speaker. Get ready for an award-winning singer-songwriter who has overcome some major challenges. SaulPaul joins us on today's Border Crossings.
Rise to the occasion.
Hi, this is Border Crossings. My name is Larry London, and on today's show, we welcome to Washington, D.C., into our VOA studios a very special guest. He's on tour right now promoting a brand new project, and it's a very interesting story. He's an interesting guy, and he's got some interesting music to perform for us as well. SaulPaul is here in D.C. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. And first of all, what is Recap Raps? What's that about?
I do a lot of improvisational songwriting, fancy talk. Well, like jazz musicians, you know, they make up improvisational songs. I just do it with words. And so normally if you come to a SaulPaul concert, in addition to me performing songs that I've written, I take pride in being a songwriter. But in addition to the songs that I've labored over and written, I can spontaneously make up songs on the spot. And I don't know, ESPN, South by Southwest, I was on America's Got Talent, did it at TED Talk. It became a crowd favorite. Like I put on a whole show, and then I just throw in this little freestyle thing, and then I started doing the corporate conferences where they would bring me in, and there'd be like a keynote speaker who would speak, and I'd listen to him speak for an hour, and then in real time recap what he spoke about, hitting the highlights and bullet points in a creative way.
How long have you been doing this, kind of music, hip hop, rap? Is this something you've done all your life, or?
I wrote my first song in 1999. I know because it was called Counting Down in that 99. I was a featured artist, but the group that invited me to be on the song, back in 99, 2000, everybody thought the world would end. And so we wrote this song about counting down in 1999. That's how I can remember that one. But I put out my first album in 2003. And I've been a full-time musician and artist since then. And
you play a lot of different instruments. I mean, one of the things you do is you beatbox.
I beatbox,
so you can make all these great sounds, which saves money on hiring a band.
Percussion, yeah, it makes it easy to travel. Yeah.
You play the guitar.
I do. I fell in love with the classical acoustic specifically. I love the nylon strings. I love the sound. I think it's a great contrast. A friend told me, I'm from Austin, Texas, the live music capital, and it being the live music capital and me being initially primarily a hip hop artist, I would just rap. Traditionally in rap, you could have just play songs and play music in the background and rap over it, and that's fine. Or you have a DJ who plays and you rap over it. But in Austin, the audiences wanted a little bit more because they were accustomed to live bands and whatnot. And honestly, it was kind of condescending some audiences, some people, because they'd be like, I'm like, oh, I'm an artist. And they're like, yeah, like what do you play? And I was like, I'm a rapper. And they'd be like, oh. And I was like, hey. And so anyway, it started off as just personal pride. Like, I want to learn how to play an instrument because people act like that's so different. And it was quite challenging. I picked up the acoustic guitar, classical acoustic, and it took some years, but after it clicked, by that time I fell in love with it.
Wow.
And then I mixed it with, rapping on top of it and created my own lane called acoustic hip hop. And discovered the loop pedal, which allowed me to be spontaneous and create my own percussion on the spot and engage and interact with the audience, and just got to where I am.
You don't typically see acoustic guitar at a rap hip hop concert. You just wouldn't.
No,
you wouldn't expect that.
Yeah, you have to differentiate. I mentor a lot of young artists, and you have to find out how to differentiate, and then stay true to you at the same time. Is something that I often share. So for me, it was perfect because I was still just doing what I do. I would initially take songs that were written for a beat, a regular rap song, and then I would rap the same song over the guitar, and it just widened up my audience, and people were able to. It made the music more accessible.
Now, we're broadcasting to a diverse audience in many, many, many parts of the globe. In some parts, hip-hop, rap music, very popular. All throughout Africa, I get a lot of requests for. But then there's other parts of the world where hip-hop, rap music doesn't translate well and hasn't been as popular because it's they speak another language and they don't quite get what's going on in the music. And you and I were talking about before we started the interview that, a lot of rap gets a bad rap because of the nature of the language, the words, the anger in the music, the profanity in the music. So, I mean, you've chosen to go in a different direction with it.
I have. I would like to say that what's pretty profound is that rap became this global phenomenon. Honestly, what really blows my mind is like an American who started off listening to hip hop, and I'm from the South, and hip hop started on the East Coast, and then it made its way to Texas and the West Coast and everywhere else. So we feel like it's personal and to us, but as I've traveled the world and been to France or Germany or Africa, and it's like people love hip hop, and they even have their own version of it now. Like I'm listening to hip hop where I don't understand the words, not because I don't understand the genre, but I just don't speak the language. But
Sure.
they've taken it and they've owned it. So it's cool to see how it became this global phenomenon. But at the same time, what I did with rap was like music was like really spoke to my soul, and I listen to a lot of music, and people often defend the music, and they say it's a reflection of the culture and the community, and that's great. But that's just no different than the media. I mean, that's a one-sided view. Like life is much more robust than just, to quote you, like the anger or the angst or animosity or profanity, and that's a one-sided view. So what I wanted to do, what I've always done is just make music that reflects me. There was a time when that represented me to a T, and now that doesn't. I've matured, I've grown. That's not how I move. That's not what I do now. That's not how I speak. And so I make music that reflects that, and I'm about being the change. I'm about entertainment, inspiration, and empowerment.
That's
and
great.
So that's what's reflected in my music. And so what I did was create an album for young people. Specifically, I took my most popular songs and I remixed them, and I featured young artists. It's called We Dream in 3D, because I believe that young kids deserve to have some music that they could call their own, some good hip hop minus all the junk.
I like that. That's very good. Very profound. We Dream in 3D.
We Dream in 3D.
That's a cool name for an album. All right, SaulPaul, would you mind doing some music for us? We'd love
I
to hear
will.
some.
I'll do a song that's featured. I originally wrote it acoustic, like I'm about to perform it, and then what I did for my new album, I remixed it and created some production around it. Sounds wonderful, and featured a young artist named Alexia. She's on the album and whatnot, but I'll just strip it back down and do an acoustic version today.
This is a raw version of a raw CD.
There it is. Rise, rise, and open your eyes. Now is the time for you to shine, yeah. Said rise, rise, and open your eyes. Now is the time for you to shine, yeah. Rise to the moment, rise to the occasion. Open your eyes, recognize there's greatness within your reach. You should seize it, you should take it. Can you see it? Can you taste destiny? Hard work and the plan, that's a recipe for success that'll launch you where them blessings be. The road to riches though, that's where them tests be. But I'm focused that you're not stressing me. A lot of pride plus a lot of confidence, and my job is to see what is not obvious. As a pioneer and entrepreneur, so I'ma work it out till it's smoother than velour, for sure. I gotta make it to the finish line. I got my second win, and now it's finish time. It's like spinach time, and I am Popeye. Stop short? No, not I. Rise, rise, and open your eyes. Now is the time for you to shine, yeah. Said rise, rise, and open your eyes. Now is the time for you to shine, yeah. Now put your hands in the sky, waving side to side. We ain't going nowhere, we just waving bye-bye. To all of the haters, to all the haters, to all of the haters, say holla, see you later. Put your hands in the sky, waving side to side. We ain't going nowhere, we just waving bye-bye. To all of the haters, to all the haters, to all of the haters, say holla, see you later. Rise, rise, and open your eyes. Now is the time
Sounding great, SaulPaul.
Hey.
Live here and freestyling. You can. I understand you have the ability to just take any subject and just go with it and make a song out of it.
That's it.
You can just take it and run. Can I give you something to work with?
Yeah, you want to do one now?
Yeah. I'm not going to do it with you, though. You don't want to hear me.
Okay.
But let's just take, how about, I don't know, give me something. Give me Washington, D.C., Voice of America.
Okay. So what I'll do, I'll talk you through it, right? And what'll be cool, what'll make this even interesting is as I'm performing, you can throw a word out there just like, it's kind of like cooking, you just throw some ingredients in and I'll mix it up on the go. And so here, but first let's make some music. You see turn me on in the monitor. Turn me on in the monitor. Okay. So I did that.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. Anyway, let me see. Okay. Let me see. So DC. SaulPaul, live at VOA. Hey, Trick, gotta go. DOA. I left Texas, came to DC. You can call me SaulPaul, you can call me SP. Call him Mr. Lennon, call him L Squared. We doing our thing, so we doing it right here. Nobody won't stop, haters better beware. I'm hip to be square. That's the spot right now. Tell me your word, so I can put it in and drop like a bird. He said holla, ending with an A. When I leave here, I'm going to the VA, Arlington. In Texas, it's Harlingen. I show love, ain't no need to harm them men. All the time, we gon' build them up. What's another word that I should say while I build it up?
Peace.
Peace. And he said it on the beat. I'm chunking the deuce, sugar, the flow is sweet. Magnifique, different and unique. That's what that is. I got that fuego, that's heat. I speak a little Spanish, we gon' keep it international. No hatred, no need for no bashing scores. Instead, we speak it from the heart. Put it in your cardiac, fill it up with art. What's next?
Love.
Love. That's not only above, it's also inside. Show it to your neighbor, like Baskin Robbins. I got many flavors. What's next? We can keep it going. Compassion, I show that when I'm flowing. Talking to the children, that's just the youth. Only thing I ever tell them is the truth. I tell them they can be the change and they can shine. But it only comes when you work hard and you grind. Tell me now, what's really on your mind?
Heart.
And it's still going down. Heart. I think he said that. If he didn't, I just did. Yeah, I made that. Made it like a pill. I'm gonna keep it down south where they say true and trill. That's real. Tell me what the deal. One more time before we conclude so I can be ill. Global. Check it out, I could blow just like Chernobyl. I shine like a strobe wheel, bright like the light. I'm gonna end it now cause I could do this all night. Or do it all morning, though it's night somewhere. I'm SaulPaul and Mr. Landon, we all up in here. Yep.
Yeah, woo, all right. Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Sweet.
That is amazing.
You're good though, like throwing those words in. I was like, it's throwing me off.
I was back in
like,
school. There was a test I had to pass. SaulPaul's here. So tell me about the name SaulPaul. When you're all in the names, what's up with the name SaulPaul?
Yeah, it's funny. I want to say, well, if you're a rapper, you have to have a name. Yeah, like you should have a stage name, but it's not that way anymore. Most people go by like their real names now. But my name SaulPaul came from the Bible, right? Like in the Holy Bible, there's this character. He's like globally known, regardless how you feel about faith or whatever, right? But the Apostle Paul, and the Apostle Paul, before his name was Paul, his name was Saul. When he was Saul, he was a bad person. He did bad things, and then one day he met Jesus, and his life changed, and then he became a man of God, and then he went from Saul to Paul. Myself, I could relate to that. Because before I started, I'm an artist and an advocate. I want to be like Mr. Harry Belafonte when I grow up, make great music and make great change in the world. But before I became a positive individual who wanted to encourage and inspire others, I was self-focused and kind of just doing what I knew in my community. And in my community, I grew up in the ghetto. I grew up in one of the worst ghettos in one of the worst cities in America, one of the North Houston, Texas. And You know, in my neighborhood, they did bad things, and I did what they did in my neighborhood. It didn't help that I didn't have any positive influence. Like, my mom died when I was 3 years old. My dad, I never met him in my life. But I was in foster care. I had an awesome grandmother, though. She swooped in, and she adopted me. She raised me as her own. The problem was she was old when I was young. She was slow. I was fast. She was soft-hearted, one of your words, right? She was soft-hearted, and I was hard-headed. So I kind of grew up doing what I wanted to do. She gave me a house full of love, but I took advantage of it and, I just ran with my friends in my neighborhood and made a lot of bad choices. So many bad choices, I got arrested by the FBI when I was 17 years old. By the time I was 20, I was convicted of 4 felonies and sent to the Texas State Penitentiary. But as I sat in the state penitentiary, I realized that it wasn't my circumstances that landed me there. It was my choices. And I realized that because it was my choices, well, I was empowered. I could change those because I've been making bad choices, so I had bad results. And I realized if I made better choices, I'd get better results. And around that same time was when I went from Saul to Paul. And long story short, I developed a vision. And I was like, you know what? I want to get out of prison. I want to go to college. I dreamed the impossible, ultimately. I was in the penitentiary, and I dreamed about going to one of the best colleges in America, the prestigious University of Texas at Austin. And I was like, I want to get out of prison. I want to go to college. I want to make music and media and change the world, like the entire world, 7 billion people. That's my goal. And I dreamed it up while I was sitting on a prison bunk in a prison cell. And I ended up getting out of prison. I got accepted to the prestigious University of Texas at Austin. I graduated with a 4.0. So I was locked up for 4 felonies. So I went from 4 felonies to a 4.0. And I mean, look, I'm from Texas. I'm in D.C. on a global radio station right now, literally living my dream.
Twist of fate. The irony is just amazing. And what a story. My gosh. Were you rapping and freestyling before all of this came down, before prison?
I was not. I was consuming music. That's one reason why I'm gifted at music. That's why I do it. But before, at this point in life, I didn't know that. At this point in life, all I did was listen to music, and I saw how it influenced me. That's why I don't give hip-hop or any other genres, really, honestly. I think if you really become media literate and if you really understand lyrics and whatnot, there's a lot of negative influences in all types of music. But the hip-hop I was listening to was definitely negative. And what I did was I did what my idols rapped about, and I went to prison. So, like, when that's people like to debate, it's just music or it's just this. And I'm just talking from my life. Like, I did what my favorite rappers rapped about, and I went to prison. But that was the part of the story that was missing. Because they told the whole story, like, I'm out here, I'm struggling, I got to make it happen. I did this, I did that to get this. And it was like, yeah, but they didn't say I went to prison. Or even when they go to prison, they rap about it like it was some fairy tale. And, I'm talking to young people all the time, and I think I was performing for a few hundred youth right before Thanksgiving, some urban youth, disadvantaged, quote unquote, disadvantaged youth. And I remember talking to them, and I asked the room, like, how many of you know somebody that's been to jail, that's in jail or been to jail and got out? And like 85% of the room raised their hand. Wow. And but these kids have a different perception, just like me, of what jail, what prison is like. And like, you know what people do in jail? And they're young kids, elementary school, and they're like, what? And I'm like, they cry. And kids are so expressive. They're like, whoa, like, why? And I'm like, because, like, next, like, this maybe Monday or whatever, right? Thursday is Thanksgiving. And I'm like, because on Thursday, they'll be sitting in prison thinking about how they can't be here with you, how their daughters, how they're locked up and they can't spend time with their daughter or their son or their grandmother or their mom. And that's the part of life. That's the part of the story that, the culture didn't usually tell, and it's like, me, I like to tell the whole story. So whether, I made a children's album where it was like, I want them to have good music without all the junk. But when I make music for my adult peers, I like to tell the whole story,
SaulPaul is with us. You're tuned to Border Crossings, and so you're on tour right now? Is this
I'm
a
on
tour
right now? Yep.
And performing around the world, or is this just in the U.S.? What's the plan?
This tour is the East Coast. I flew out of Austin, flew to D.C., did an interview yesterday. It's cool. Well, it was Sirius XM.
Okay.
Which was huge.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. I'd mentioned it, but I had to realize, okay, cool. There's no competition here.
No.
So that was a big deal for me. I was actually I did an interview after it was over, like, for our website. And that was kind of like back in the day when, people you watch TV and people hear themselves on the radio, right? They're saying, oh, my God, we're on the radio. That's cool. Like, I've been on the radio before, but as an independent touring musician, I travel quite a bit. So I get on the plane, I fly somewhere, I go to the rental car spot, I get a rental car. The rental car has XM radio in it.
There it is.
No matter where I go, and it's cool because I always have the access to the same channels. So that was pretty cool to actually be at the Sirius XM headquarters, and I did a special and highlighted the new album. So that was very cool. But the rest of this tour is me. I'm doing some stuff with the Boys and Girls Club here in DC. Whenever I travel, I make sure that I'm always performing for young people, not just to give back. That's kind of like my primary. I'll be playing some club shows as well. But yeah, it'll be here in DC, then Philly, and then New York City for an awesome event called Civics Day. That's part of an organization called Generation Citizen, where they teach civics to middle school and high school students. And that's significant because that's really not taught, and it's overlooked, and it's really just not that exciting to the average person. Definitely not a student. Like, why do I care about government or care about making a change in my community? But next week I'll perform there and play a part in the festivities.
Do you get to play the White House, or have you been invited to do anything like that here in D.C.?
The last time I was here was May. Haven't played the White House yet. I performed at the U.S. Capitol in May on the West Lawn.
Wow.
On the way over here, as I was taking my ride share over here, I drove past, and I'm looking to the right, and I see the monument.
Right.
Yeah, I see the monument. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Washington Monument.
Washington Monument. Yeah, I try to. That's so vague. That's
there it is.
Right.
That's the monument.
Yeah, right.
The stick, the needle.
There it is. Right. So I'm looking to the right, and I'm like, oh, look, there's the monument. And then I happen to look to the left, and I'm like, oh, snap, there goes the U.S. Capitol.
That's
and
it.
Then my wife was with me, and she's like, that's where we performed. That's where you performed at when we were here in May. I'm like, oh, snap, like, yeah, like right there. So yeah, that was a pretty monumental moment. I like to keep myself. I don't ever want to lose this feel of like, man, I'm living my dream. Like, you know, like you mentioned earlier, I think we were off air, right? Like Aretha Franklin, Taylor Swift, Adele, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers. These are amazing artists that have changed the face of our of music and culture and influenced the world, and they've sat in the same room. Like, that's pretty crazy. I'm just like this little boy from the ghetto who grew up in foster care that went to the penitentiary, that now has a passport, and I mean performed at the U.S. Capitol. And yeah, I performed globally as well. I'll be going on an international tour this summer, the second one, to Europe, France, and Germany, Norway, I believe it is. But yeah, I mean, even the book right now, the title I'm kicking around is called From Parole to Passports.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
I
used
like
to be
that.
on parole, and now I got a passport.
Now you got a passport.
It's pretty amazing.
Well, we're going to let you do some more music because
Okay.
that's what you do. And boy, what a great story you have. I don't want to miss the stories, but I want to also give us a chance to hear some live music with SaulPaul. Since you're here on Border Crossings, we're putting you to work.
So this next song I'll do is you got me all emotional and whatnot, we're telling stories and whatnot. My goal is to be awesome. Like, I won't be coy about that. My goal is to be great. But the reason why is because my grandmother, her name was Pearlie Collins. Everybody called her Big Mama. I just called her Mama. She was the only mama that I knew. And so I wrote a song about her. She's the reason why I do what I do. So now's an appropriate time to do this song. A sad song. I've been shining oh so bright, simply cause you raised me right. Yeah, and you gave me so much game. I'ma make sure the whole world say your name. Pearlie, a Collins Collins, may she rest in peace. See she be while I be me. Mama raised the monster, left the world with a bitch. I grew up poor, and I ain't even know it. Cause when she she lagged off. Hey, she ain't even show it. She kept me focused, head in them textbooks. Now I'm living good. Look how them checks look. She taught me about love. She taught me about life. Show me what was wrong and taught me what was right. And she let me live my life. But I made mistakes. She still showed me love, so I guess she taught me grace. She taught me about faith and family. And home should be a place of peace, even in the calamity. She tell me straight, this world is a sanity. But once I make it out the trap, oh, what a man I'll be. Well, I made it, mama. Wish you could see me now. I got the world watching, cause I'm straight gleaming now. I did good, it's cause she did better. This is not a song, it's a love letter. Yeah, mama, mama, I'ma be everything you saw in me. True, you were gone. Don't get it confused, this is not a sad song. I've been shining oh so bright, simply cause you raised me right. Yeah, and you gave me so much game. I'ma make sure the whole world say your name. Pearlie, a columnist Collins, may she rest in peace. C-she-b-y-I-b me. Mama raised the monster, left the world with a beast. Can we agree? There's nothing like your mother's hug, your mother's love, your mother's rub. When you hungry, what's better than mama's grub? Acting bad, moving fast, mama's tug. She pull your shirt tail, yeah, she slow you down, but always lift you up, never hold you down. And when she speak, you always know the sound. That's the reason she the queen. She forever hold the crown. That's how Pearlie was. That's what mine was like. But it's always 2020 when it's hindsight. When she was round, I took her for granted. Now she's nowhere to be found on the entire planet. But it's all Gucci. I turned out alright. She the reason why I'm shining in this limelight. I did good, it's cause she did better. This is not a song, it's a love letter. Yeah, mama, mama, I'ma be everything you saw in me. True, you were gone, don't get it confused. This is not a sad song. I've been shining oh so bright, simply cause you raised me right. Yeah, and you gave me so much game. I'ma make sure the whole world say your name. Pearlie, a columnist Collins, may she rest in peace. C-she-b-y-I-b me. Mama raised the monster, left the world with a beast.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm sure she'd be proud. She's looking down on you. She's very proud. I'm sure of that. SaulPaul is our guest here on Border Crossings. Well, you are very positive, and you give off positivity, and it's such a pleasure to meet you and to have you here. You know, I want you to come back because there's so many more stories to tell, so much more to say, and so much more music to perform. I mean,
I'm sure you'll have more words the next time I see you.
Well, it's wonderful to meet you, SaulPaul, and the tour continues. Now, people want to get your album, or they want to read about you, or find out more about you. Where do they find you? The sites?
It's easy. We tried to simplify it. In one of my songs, I say I used to be in prison eating ramen noodle packs, because like that's a common food in prison.
Right.
And now I've done a show where Google's at. Like, I've actually performed at Google headquarters. But the reason why I bring that up is because I made it easy to find me. So if anybody can Google or just if you can remember my name, SaulPaul, SaulPaul. That's my website, SaulPaul.com. All the socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever they make in the future, everything is SaulPaul. And my email is simple. It's SaulPaul@SaulPaul.com.
And there's no space between SaulPaul.
I have a skit on my album about that. Thank you for clarifying that. I don't prefer to be called Saul. And people crack that joke out. Better call Saul. Like, just call me SaulPaul, honestly. But yeah, it's SaulPaul is one word, 2 capitals.
Well,
no space.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
What a pleasure to meet you. SaulPaul is our guest. We Dream in 3D is the name of the new album. My name is Larry London, and this is Border Crossings.